Welcome to the girls. Today, Janine and I are at His Living Waters Women's Center. It's in Beaver Meadows, right here in Carbon County, in Pennsylvania. We are doing this show here to inform you of some of the great opportunities that women have in our area. But before we get to the show, we're going to talk a little bit about, Janine, you have a lot of things coming up this year. You're talking about.
Did you hear I'm getting married yet?
Yeah.
You say that on every show. My brother's shaking his head like, yes.
Every single show. It's like, are we?
No, we can't.
Yeah, we could.
Because people kept asking when you get married, and now they're asking when you get married, what's the date? So we're telling you on the show.
Yeah, we should
July
have a quiz.
14th.
Do they know it's July the 14th?
July 14th, we are going to quiz you when I see you out
At 4
now.
o'clock. Is it at 4 o'clock?
Getting married at 4 o'clock, yes.
4 o'clock.
Going to the chapel and we're gonna
I
get
can't wait.
married.
It's just like I can't wait.
Maybe we'll be Facebook Live. You never know. Stay with us.
I know, you're always on Facebook.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of which, I have
Let's
my
play a
phone
game.
today. All right, so now, wait. You guess what the answer is going to
Okay.
be. All right?
All right, I'll
so
guess.
I don't know this. So what do you think the most popular food in the United States is? What do you think Americans like to eat the most?
Should I go with my answer or with
Let's see.
the
Here.
nation?
Tell us.
All right, the
What do you
most
think?
popular food in America. Well, Americans like French fries,
All right.
so I'll go with French fries.
What is the most popular food in America?
Hamburgers. According to Statista, as of Q3 2022, hamburgers, mashed potatoes, and cheeseburgers were the most popular American dishes
So
in the United
hamburgers-
French fries go with hamburgers, so I basically had it correct. Next question.
All right.
Point for me.
Okay. So what do you think is the most popular snack food? I know.
Something crunchy. I'm going with chips.
I like potato chips. What is the most popular snack food in America?
Cookies.
Cookies.
According to Statista, the most popular snack in the U.S. is cookies. In 2021, 59% of respondents who have a snack at least one.
Yeah,
That was
wow.
2021. I bet it's chips for 2022, 2023. Point
Anyhow,
for me.
Okay, what's the most popular snack food for
No.
2023? No, now they're going to healthy stuff. We don't want that
don't
stuff.
wanna talk about
All
healthy
right, what
food.
else did you want to know?
Favorite cocktail?
Oh, what is it?
Cosmos. I know my alcohol.
What's American women's favorite cocktail? Cosmo, you got it.
3 points for me.
She
0.
stopped talking to me. I guess we said something
sick of us.
offensive.
All right, one more. Let's do. What questions do you guys have at home? I can't hear you, so I'll pick it.
What did you eat for breakfast?
What's the best color of? What is the popular color
Oh, I know,
of 2023? I'm going with blue because my wedding's blue. Go on.
I'll
Let's
go
hear
with
it.
hot pink.
All right.
What is the color for 2023?
Viva Magenta.
Viva
According to
Magenta.
Veranda magazine, the Pantone Color Institute named Viva Magenta as its official color of the year for 2023 for its
Alright.
joyous yet powerful nature.
I'll give you a point.
Powerful. A red with subtle notes of purple. Oh, and I have purple
Oh,
on
there
today.
you go. And did you know that was a great game? I still got a lot of points. That purple is the color for domestic violence.
Yes, I did know.
And on today's show, in all seriousness, we're going to talk about abuse for women, that if you're in an abusive situation, this is a safe space for you. And we are going to have a very powerful guest on. I think she's an inspiration. She's going to share her personal story with us. And we're here at His Living Waters Women's Center in Beaver Meadows in Carbon County. And when we come back, we're going to talk with her and talk about getting you help. If you know someone who is in an abusive relationship or needs help with living and assistance, you're at the right place right here.
Okay, stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the girls. As we stated in our first segment, we're at the Women's Center. It's called His Living Waters Women's Center in Beaver Meadows, and we are with his founder and director, Michele Moyer. Michele, I'm so happy to finally meet you.
Yes, thank you
We've been
guys
waiting
so
to do
much.
this show with you.
I know, right?
It's nice to be in here to see what you guys have to offer for
Thank you.
abused women.
Yeah, so the building itself you, as we said, are the director of this. How did all of this come about? Like, where did you start with this? Did someone reach out to you and ask you to come and oversee this, or was it your brainchild? How did all of this happen?
So about 7 years ago in 2015, I had just finally settled a really long divorce. I was in an abusive marriage for years. I had no way out because I had 3 kids, and I didn't have anybody to give me a hand up to help me to get out of that situation. So I sort of, in some ways, felt trapped. I didn't really need to go get any PFAs or anything like that, but it was still like I needed to get away, but I couldn't. So eventually my ex-husband left, and then I was by myself. And so I visited a pastor friend up here, and that weekend just happened to be the weekend a domestic violence speaker was here and had said that Hazleton was the second highest in domestic violence deaths in Pennsylvania. And so it was then that I went, wow, because I was praying, what are you going to do with my life? Because I was a Christian. It didn't end the way I thought it was going to end. I thought it was just going to be like a miracle and he was just going to change. And so I cried out to God, what do you want to do? And it was that day that the Lord said, I want you to move up here. And I lived in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I was like, I knew it was him. So I literally, moved up here in December of 2015. This happened in October 15 that he spoke to me. Within December of 15, I purchased a small house in Beaver Meadows and moved up here. And it took 7 years. October of this past year, it was almost 7 years exactly, is when we purchased this building and began the process. And throughout that 7-year process, I would cry out to God and say, why did you move me up to this cold place? And I liked where I lived, and he just kept reminding me. And then it got I think to a point where I was like, I was just done. I was like, I must have ate too much pizza. I don't belong here. And so I just gave up. And then a friend of mine had reached out to me and said, God's, just randomly, and said that, God still wants you to do what he's called you to do. And so I said, fine. And we had made an offer on this property sometime back, a low ball offer. And the guy's like, no. And within 20 minutes of saying, okay, fine, Lord, I'll stay, I'll do it. The guy called and said, do you still want that property? And I said, yes. And that was just about when I was ready to give up.
So let's go back to, you made some really
Profound statements.
Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth. Because people who are in relationships or in marriages and they do feel stuck, even though there is abuse, whether it be mental abuse, physical abuse, even financial abuse, where they don't let the woman do anything. What kind of advice can you give them as far as they feel stuck and they can't get out? Is this the place that can help them do that?
This is. Okay. I say reach out. Reach out to me, and I will help you to get to a place where you realize that there's a better life for you. We want to offer the girls a safe environment where they can get the healing, because we are not just a place you stay. We help them work through some of the healing process. We have counseling. We call it coaching that we offer them, and we try to get them healthy, because if we don't get them healthy, they're just going to pick the same kind of guy.
And it's almost denial, where you think to yourself, you said you thought he was going to get better. You have kids with them. You're invested in it. You're married a long time. The excuses go on and on and on. And to say that this is the second largest
that's what I heard, city in Pennsylvania for domestic violence,
that the woman dies.
I can't quote that. I know it's second highest domestic violence. I'm not sure about the death part, but I thought it was, but I don't want to quote that. But I know I heard it was the second, and I was surprised. But now that I get to know the community a little better, I'm not surprised. Hazleton itself is, people come from all over. It's like a pot, just people
Melting
from all.
pot,
Yeah,
people all
so
over the place.
I'm not surprised. Right. So that was when I knew.
And it's the second highest. There's over 1 million in the United States who are abused. That's reported.
Okay.
So can you imagine what's not reported?
Yes.
And when we're talking about domestic violence, what are some of the things that people that come here, what happens? Like, what's going on in the home? What can people out there who are watching wonder, am I a victim? Because sometimes the person who is victimizing you has you brainwashed to think that that's okay, and that maybe it's your fault. So what are some of the things that you look for?
Well, I would say, mine was obvious. It was physical abuse. It was laying your hands on. So no man should ever be laying his hands on a woman physically. You know, I know that a lot of women say they're, you know, emotionally abused. I believe in emotional abuse. As far as verbal abuse, I do believe that, but truthfully, most of the time people say things they don't mean if we're really honest. So, you know, I really, you know, I say, well, you know, you can work on that. You know, a verbal abuse is something that you can work on together if you
Or
create
though,
boundaries.
if you're saying you can't leave the house, or
Yeah.
they barricade you in the
Yeah,
home,
yeah,
or they're not
situation.
touching you, but they're still saying words that are scary. That
Yeah, and there's drug
they're
abuse,
threatening.
alcohol abuse. You know, they might not ever touch those person, but when you're married to somebody that's abusing drugs and alcohol, that's abuse, because the money's going that, you know, going towards that. They're not being responsible, and a lot of the women who come here are women who have been in relationships with people just abusing drugs.
And they're neglected.
Yeah,
and
so
then
they
they
don't know
have
what's gonna
children.
happen. Yeah, and then the
So
kids
then
are
the
neglected.
kids are neglected.
So they don't
and the
have
kids see
food,
that.
and they don't have clothes because dad, you know, went on a binge, or you know what I mean. And so we deal with a lot more of those kind of situations. The domestic, severely violent with PFAs, we're not equipped, and there's good places for those. But if you don't have a PFA, a lot of those places won't even take you. So then there's that person that's in between, doesn't have anywhere to go because they don't qualify as somebody that would necessarily need to stay in a secure place, but yet they want to get away. Their life isn't in danger. And that's kind of what this place is, because it's, you know, people know we're here. So it's not like, you know,
It's not hidden.
Yeah, we do intake, and we you know, if you say you have an open PFA, then you can't stay here because I can't protect you, and you need to be able to be protected. And I have an obligation to protect everyone. So these situations are more like just situations where they just picked the wrong guy. You know?
And that's something that you had mentioned before, that you have counseling to try and get them to not do that. So what type of person do you think is a victim, and what are the age groups?
Well, I honestly think right now, I think that the people who've come from other countries who are coming to America to get away from those situations come here, and they're just very vulnerable because they come from countries where that's more acceptable. You know, there's countries where, you know, women are very much controlled, and drugs and alcohol and abuse is just, you know, nobody just shake a head at it. You know what I mean? So when they come here, they're coming to get away from that. And then they're just vulnerable, and they end up picking the wrong guys because that's all they've ever been around. So we try to help them to change themselves, the way they think, to get the healing they need, to realize they have worth and they're valued in God's eyes, and that they don't need to accept anything other than God's best for them. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things that we do, because otherwise they're just going to leave and go repeat the same thing. You know what I mean? So that's why we're not just your typical in and out, you know, come in, sleep here, and leave.
So walk us through. We were quickly through the center. Women actually live here.
Yes.
Okay. So walk us through how many people live here and how it works, and you know, give us.
So when I get a call, I'll have the girls come in and they do like an intake. It's a form. I'm asking them about. We do criminal background checks. We do drug screenings. The girls have to take a drug test. I used to do that for a living. I know how to drug test. I do criminal backgrounds. Because once there's people in here, we're obligated to protect the people. I feel obligated to protect the children. So we do that. And to be honest, a lot of times people they don't want that. They're looking for somewhere to stay for free and not do anything. So those situations usually just go away quickly when you say, I'm gonna do a criminal background check. I don't mind if you have a criminal background check from years ago. We all change. But if it was just last 2 months ago, you know what I mean? So I just had a situation like that, and it was just like the rap sheet was just long. And I love to help people, but I'm obligated to protect. So we do an intake. The girls come, and then what we do is explain to them the rules. There's a lot of rules. There's no visitations. You got to be in your room. You got to be in the place by 11 o'clock. You know, there's quiet hours. One of the obligations is that you either attend coaching, Bible study, or church. You have to do something that's going to change your life. If it's just a counseling, a coaching, we call it, or if it's a Bible study that we're doing, if it's coming to church every Sunday and getting yourself in a better community, they're obligated to do that as a part of their when they sign that lease that says, and so they get a 45-day lease. As long as they're obeying the rules within 45 days, that lease goes month to month. It's a legal lease. And so if they're not, by day 60, they must go if they have been violating the lease, the rules.
And they pay rent.
They pay rent. We agree upon the rent. Even if we know at that point they might not be able to pay it, it's a faith promise. You're by faith saying that I'm going to do my best to try to make this. And it's surprising the girls do. And I won't even have to ask for them. They're better than some renters. But and then we take half of that money, we put that aside. So when an apartment comes for them, you know how the security deposits, they're not going to have money for security deposits. Right. So we'll give them that money towards it, and then we'll meet whatever money they don't have. Because, you know, so it's just teaching them to contribute. You know, we're not a handout, we're a hand up. And that's really the way I believe. You know, the government does a great job at handing people money, and we are not like that. You know, we want to give them a hand up to a better life.
Yeah,
And
you
just
want to help them
Yeah.
learn to help themselves.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to take a quick break. You could watch us here on SSP TV on channel 513 and 13. You could watch us online on YouTube. If you know anyone who is being abused, if you see it and you want to help them, we're going to talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to The Girls. You're watching us on SSP TV on cable if you're local, and if you're watching us online, you know you can watch us on ssptv.com or on YouTube. We're happy to be in Carbon County today at the His Living Waters Women's Center, and we are with Michele Moyer. She's the director and founder. She listened to God's word, and his voice told her this is where she needs to be in the greater Hazleton area, helping women who have been abused. So Michele, thanks for having us
Thank
in.
you.
We hope that we could use our audience to help you grow the center and also provide you with donations. Now, we said during the break, mostly monetary donations are needed at this time to run the center, because
Yeah.
I'm sure it's costly.
Yeah.
And you are a nonprofit.
Yes, we are a nonprofit. And we know the girls come here with, like I said, sometimes just 2 bags of clothing. So they need clothing. They sometimes need help medically, you know what I mean? So we want to be able to, you know, give them everything they need, and money is what does that. So because we are a nonprofit, we have a couple people who support us monthly. You know, that's another way, like, you know, let's say, okay, every month I'm going to contribute to this ministry, and then that helps us to pay the bills. So yeah, that is mostly what we need, because we also try to get the girls cars eventually. If they prove that they're faithful, if they're working, you know, there's criteria. We just don't hand things out. Like I said, we're not a handout, we're a hand up. So if you prove you can work and you prove that you want to get a better life for yourself, then we help you. We try to equip you with everything that you need to be successful. We don't just want to give you a place to sleep and then throw you back out. So, you know, so
You give them the tools to live on their own.
yeah, so we have 3 family suites, and we have 3 individual women's suites. So women can come here just by themselves, or women with children. Right now, we still have a couple suites open for a single, but the family suites are full. You know, so obviously I thought I didn't get a big enough place. I didn't think the need would be so great, but the homelessness and the need for women to get away is a lot bigger than I thought it was, I guess.
So you're looking for another building
We
to
are.
add on.
We're praying for another building, yes.
So what's the day like for the women who are here who maybe have children? Do they take care of their children, or maybe the ones who haven't found a job yet? Are there facilities where they can cook a meal, and do they do their laundry? What do they do to keep the building going?
So they take care of themselves. We have 24-hour video surveillance, you know, that I'm able to watch things and keep an eye on things. They have curfews. They do their own cooking, their cleaning. They share a community kitchen, a community living room. They each have locked areas where they can sleep and things like that. But what's neat is the dynamic of, I started with one and now I have another family and another, and they all work together. So now I have one that's working and she's watching her baby, and then she's working so she can watch. So they're actually working, they're all in New York together today. So they're working together to help each other. And that's why it's really important that when we bring people in here, the intake is very, very important, because it just takes one bad. I mean, they leave their purses out. You know, they trust each other. So it's really. So now a part of the process, when I have the next person come, I'll even have the girls sit down and say, you know, what do you think? You think, you know, because there's children. You know, so I have to do Megan's Law background checks, I have to do criminal background checks. So
They don't want to leave an abusive situation and come into another abusive
yes. So and they cook. So they cook together. They they clean together. They watch. When I come, they're all just hanging out together. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they're also networking and finding common ground,
supporting
with
each other.
And you use the word "we" found this. So is it you, and is it your husband? And you said your daughter's a counselor?
Yeah, our daughter is. She has a child psychology, master's in child psychology. So she works with the kids when they come in. My husband's a pastor, so he works with the women as well as me. We do that together, obviously. And if there's ever a situation where there was a man that needed and wanted counseling or wanted help apart from this situation, my husband would offer them that apart from here. You know, because we're not about breaking up families. We're not about ruining marriages. We're about reconciliation. But sometimes things just are not, you can't do that. This is not going to work. And in these cases that we have here, there is no way for that. So we just work with the girls.
So you said that you do take part of the rent that they give you, and you put that aside for them. So if they should find their own place, then it's used for their deposit,
Yes.
whatever. So do you have? I don't know how long you've been here. How long have you been here now?
Since February 4th.
Okay, so you're brand new. So you don't have any real stories yet to tell us of anyone that's been able to move on yet, or do you?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Nope. But they have dreams and aspirations of moving on. They don't want to be here. They don't want to be just they want their own houses, their own places. And so, we want to do our best to help them get that.
How have you seen their personalities, though, and their demeanor change since they came? I'm sure when they first came to you, they were just crushed and just desperate, I guess, that kind of loneliness. How have you seen that change?
Very fearful. They're very fearful because their environment's always one of fear, and I can understand that. Change was always a thing that made you afraid because that usually was accompanied with some form of violence or something bad. So this was huge for them. They were scared, very scared when they came, and now they'll say to me, "I feel so comfortable. I feel so safe here," And so I think that they just begin to feel safe, and you have to feel safe before you can do anything because fear will paralyze you. So we have to get them out of the realm of living in an environment of fear so that they can begin to walk in faith. And so, I thought maybe I'd have a harder time with them wanting to go to church, but they love church. They love the community. It's really not church itself, it's the community. So we're connected with the church up here, just 5 doors down. We have a English and a Spanish speaking church. The Spanish speaking church has been really helpful because the girls that are here now speak mostly Spanish. And if it wasn't for that Spanish pastor and his wife being able to communicate, and also them understanding the culture, because I would just give everybody everything, and they're like, no, you need to, so they understand the culture. And so we have both sides of the coin, the English and the Spanish side of the coin, because just face it, that's the world that we live in here. And so we want to be able to help the Spanish community. And so that's, been very helpful for us, So they go to the Spanish church, and then the English-speaking church is here as well.
That's awesome. So if someone, again, is out there and you know someone, or you might be someone who is being abused, this center you can call and get information from Michele. Don't think you're listening to this show and you're like, oh, that's not me. Don't check yourself off until you call Michele and talk with her and come in and at least get the resources that you need. If maybe they can't stay here, you can help them with something else.
Yeah, or even if you don't want to
services.
say you're necessarily not ready to leave, I would still meet with you and talk with you and try to just coach you a little bit and give you some good advice, and see where that takes you. Sometimes it just, people need to learn to create boundaries. Boundaries can save a lot of, relationships.
They need some coaching.
Yeah, so we offer that. If you don't want to stay here, we have all those other things that we would offer. Our intake of people that are here, I would still offer them. I would never turn anyone away from saying.
That's a good point, because some people just don't know how to even leave.
Yeah.
Like, go talk with her. Well, if someone's watching your every move, how do you even get out of the house to get here?
Yeah,
Or
and
to
it's
call
free,
you?
so working with us is free. I'm not, it's not like some people can't afford to go to counseling, so we're free.
Right. Does it make you feel so good? I'm sorry, Mom. Does it make you feel so good that you're able to take a bad situation, a bad personal situation, and do so much good for girls?
I am excited about it. It does break my heart, though, at times. I lay in bed and I think about these poor kids, and I'm like, it just
That's the
breaks my
next thing I
heart.
was going to ask you. Do you take this home with you? Because how could you not?
could you not? So
I'm
personal.
just, engulfed in it just being here today.
Yeah,
because
this is not a service. These kids and these women are becoming like a part of my family. Like when I'm out shopping, I'll think of the kids. Oh, I'd like to get that for Casey. You know what I mean? And so, or the women, like, oh, I think she would look great. And like, so it's like I added people to my family. And I'm thankful that I have a husband that works really hard and gives us that financial ability to be able to bless other people. Because that's why financial is important, because it does run off of money.
And that's why we're here today. We're trying to spread the word for other people, because we don't realize how fortunate we are just to have a safe place to live and to be in an environment of love. And so, when you're looking to help someone, the greatest gift of all to yourself is helping someone else.
Yeah.
And I always find that to be true. When you start helping someone else, it's just like, oh my
It
Lord.
makes your problems seem small, too.
So how do people donate? Give us some information. We'll put it on the screen as well.
You mean as far as like the website?
Checks, or who do they make them out to? How do
It
they
would be
mail
made
them?
out to His Living Waters, because we're a nonprofit, so nothing can be made out to us. It's all separate. It's His Living Waters. If you look us up on Facebook, we'll come up. It has the address and everything like that. And even pastors, if there's a pastor that's watching this, I would love to be able to come to your church and just share that ministry, because, people think that because we sit in church, we don't endure this. I sat in church. My ex-husband sat in church every Sunday. So the church is filled with people who have not always the greatest homes either. So I would love to be able to share with the church, the body, you know, and
Very good.
So-
Are we allowed to share the location?
Yes.
It's,
Mhm. Yep.
Is it 5 Broad Street?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
so 5 Broad Street, Beaver Meadows is how you would write out the check if you'd like to mail one here, or again, get in touch with Michelle here at the center. And
Right.
it was really nice
Yeah,
to
thank
meet
you guys
and
so
go
much.
through the
Thank
center,
you so much.
and
Thank you.
hopefully we could help raise some money through our viewership and our following, and help as many women as possible.
Right.
you.
And
Thank
I
you, guys.
applaud you also
Oh.
because it's a wonderful, warm environment here from the
Oh,
moment you
thank
come
you.
in. And you just seem like a very warm and caring person. So again, anybody out there who needs the services, you're watching the girls, you can see us again and again, and give Michelle a call. We'll see you next time.